By Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. You finally made it to Friday, folks. It's the midway point of the day. We're going to cruise you right into the weekend. We're going to have plenty of things to talk about with the football side of things, basketball side of things. We're going to preview a little bit of college football and college basketball weekend. A lot of the crazy stories going on and some coaching candidates that maybe you're holding out hope for that are no longer available. So we'll get to all of that. And of course, your chats and your phone calls at 478-344-6623. But fellas, how we feeling on this beautiful Friday here in the great state of Arkansas?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. I'm looking forward to the basketball game tonight. We're 2 minutes in. I'm already laughing at the chat, making fun of John.
Yep, I was waiting for it.
It's so far we're off to a good start here.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I kind of am getting bummed out about the basketball game being at 8, only because I'm very excited for it. I'm looking forward to tonight's game. I think Arkansas is going to cover. I feel pretty good about just life in general. But 8 o'clock, man, it's a long time to wait.
It is. Well, just let's go ahead and get it out of the way because Double H once in a while look like I'm ready to commit crimes. The water is gone in my place because of the construction outside, and they so lovely gave me the notice on my door after they turned off the water. So, yeah, I'm not a hat guy. I've never been a hat guy, but I'm wearing a hat, and yes, I know I look like I'm about to commit crimes. So, there we go. We're out of the way. It's been established, but appreciate you taking notice of that. I actually thought I was going to put the over-under at like 10 minutes in to see if somebody would say something about it. But, man, didn't even get through the intro and already had people bringing it up. So
I needed that. That was good. That was a tone setter.
They get to react to is our appearances. So
that's true. That's true.
Anything notable, it'll get out of the way quick.
Oh, yeah. People will make sure of it. So, but yeah, again, folks, we'll get to a lot of the topics of conversation. But we'll say that congratulations to Rett Lashley for signing an extension with SMU. So sorry, Hog fans, if you had any sort of dreams of a Rett Lashley Razorback-led football team next season, we're going to have to stick it back in your corncob pipe because it's not going to be happening anytime soon. But shout out to him for getting a big extension at SMU.
Did we get a number on that?
Not yet. Or last I looked a few minutes ago, they hadn't released anything, but word on the street is that SMU ponied up.
Well, I mean, the Mustangs are known to do that, are they not?
That's right.
But yes, I mean, he was making like $2 million before, which is by the way, that's the extension that GJ Kinney just got. He got his bumped up to $2 million. Yeah. Lashley was making $2 million. So I wonder if they tripled it, quadrupled it.
Yeah, and we can be transparent about it here. A contract extension does not take somebody off the table. It doesn't make them off limits necessarily. It just makes them way more expensive to get if you really want them. So.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because yesterday during our stream, which the nice fan of ours that came up and offered us some shots there at the Leroy, his name was Rett, and I got some texts. He's like, "Is that a new coach? Is that him?" I was like, "Nope, that's not him."
Rett Lashley. They thought that's who that was.
Like Rett Lashley was just hanging out with us at the Leroy, just casually hanging out, signing a contract. I think people were probably hopeful for
what
it.
A way to announce your arrival. Buying the Inside Arkansas boys some shots.
Yeah. I mean, what better way to do it? That's when you know it's real. That's when you know it's official. But like you said, Curtis, the extensions and everything doesn't mean, there's no chance that he'll ever leave or will ever leave here in the near future. But it certainly makes it a little bit more difficult and shows that he's solidified there at SMU. And they're probably going to win the conference, which is wild to think. There in his first year. They're not making any money from revenue as far as from the conference of the ACC. However, as we know back in the 80s when it was the Pony Express, there's plenty of people there in the Dallas area and the SMU and the build that they have for money-wise to fund not only as a coaching extension, but also some NIL. So I think that him being there at SMU, it's not like, it's this low-level job that he's going to be staying at. There's a lot of potential at SMU to become a national powerhouse? Probably not, but it's certainly not the SMU that it was 10, 15, 20 years ago.
I wonder if they have more, like another leg to stand on or more leverage or anything to renegotiate some of that ACC revenue if they win the league. If they can go back to the table and be like, all right, look, here's what's going to happen. Or, we'll get the buyout from you idiots, and we'll go to the new Pac-12 or whatever when that's a thing. Like I wonder if they're going to wind up renegotiating that and getting some piece of the pie, because it is kind of crazy.
Another thing about it is the ACC now, obviously the revenue is a big deal. I'm not overlooking it, but even with that, SMU is a very stable job at this time. I would argue, like, just being in the ACC, that gives them like a leg up, but you're also not in the SEC. So it's not like your week in and week out schedule is as miserable as like Arkansas's 2025 week in and week out schedule is going to be. So like, if for a guy like Rett Lashley, who's still pretty young, it's like, I think it makes a lot of sense to just ride it out where you're at and then kind of reevaluate, for however long it takes.
Yeah, because if you look at the current state of the ACC, like who's in the best position in that conference moving forward to be dominant or to be great? Because Clemson's Miami definitely, but Clemson's taken a huge hit. They're good, but they're not looking like they were just less than a decade ago and winning national championships. Virginia Tech ain't Virginia Tech with what they used to be. Florida State. Jeez.
That's disgraceful. Florida State, man. That should be the easiest answer here, but it's just not. It's unreal.
I'm trying to remember if there's ever been a time where it went from being a team that was this close to playing for a national championship, or at least a college football playoff appearance, to the next season being one of the worst teams in college football.
Well, to be clear, y'all are talking about pre-Dion FSU. They haven't hired Dion yet. Once they do that, then it's going to change kind of the dynamics of the entire conference. Then Rett Lashley might be running away from the ACC.
Yeah. It could be all a domino effect at this point. But yeah, like Florida State should be, but it doesn't look like the future's hold. So the point is that SMU and Rett Lashley, they might be in a great spot to not dominate it maybe, but to at least have a stranglehold on that and to be able to move it forward. So, but yeah, some of these coaches, this is about around the time where they're going to start getting locked down, because if there's any job openings, they want to make sure that they get ahead of the curve and ahead of the game and keep them intact there, which was pretty funny because I don't know if you guys saw this tweet from last night when I was talking about Sam Pittman and being at Arkansas, but this came from Coach's Hot Seat, which take it for what it is. But I thought this was kind of fascinating. He went through this thread where he was mentioning Sam Pittman in Arkansas, and it says, at Arkansas, timing in college football is just about to when to fire the coach. Isn't just about when to fire a coach. It's also about knowing you've lost the luxury of waiting. The Razorbacks are trapped in a maze of their own making, and here's how. They've racked up $40 million in new obligations from revenue sharing and settlements, and are tied to a coach with a $10 million buyout that's hard to justify, and face a contract clause that could extend a situation fans are desperate to escape, because Sam Pittman's tenure has become a cautionary tale about decision-making. In 2021, his team peaked at number 8. Arkansas handed him a deal fit for a coach with leverage, except he didn't have any. Zero leverage turned into maximum security. Now sitting at 5-5, Louisiana Tech and Missouri ahead. Arkansas has a unique math problem. 2 more wins, including a bowl, would trigger an automatic contract extension. Every touchdown feels less like a triumph and more like a long-term liability. That sucks.
That's a good thread, aside from like all of the numbers being inaccurate. But
I was gonna say, like, and also it's framing $10 million like that's like this immovable object that they're like, today in sports. I'm not saying $10 million is nothing to sneeze at, but like in terms of buyouts, it's not like this anchor that it used to be maybe a decade ago.
Yeah, there was one sentence in that really stood out to me that I thought summed it up really well, but I already forgot what it was.
Was it the touchdown one?
No, It was somewhere in the middle, but that one too. Yeah. So,
yeah. I think it was talking about the one that stood out to me at least was face a contract clause that could extend the situation fans are desperate to escape. That one was pretty gnarly to hear. But
which again, like it's, if he gets this automatic extension or whatever the hell goes on in the like, I mean, you can still just fire his ass whenever you want.
I was gonna say it's not whenever Lashley fires it. It's not like he's unhireable now.
Right.
In most cases, I should say, because I know there are some contracts that are a little bit crazier, but I don't think that extension is one of those like where it's okay. Now he's the coach for life. Now you got him on the Coach Cal deal.
Well, and also too, like it is kind of interesting to see like the situation that Pittman himself finds himself in, and going back to those contracts that were made in 2021 in the numbers and everything. This isn't like a Jimbo Fisher. You got to pay him the entire $10 million or $12 million or whatever he's owed right then and there. And you got 60 days. Like a lot of these buyouts are done over periods of time. If I'm not mistaken, I think the Brett Bielema deal, when he put out a lawsuit trying to get after the Razorback Foundation or whatever it was. It was because he was owed, I think it was like $380,000 per month until it got paid out. So when people see that number, yes, you're going to have to pay it out, but it's not, oh crap, we got to come up with that $10 million right here, right now. It's more of just moving and reallocating and all of that. So also got to know that about the buyout folks, but still it is interesting where some people out there understand the situation Arkansas is in and why fans want Sam Pittman gone, but also why they're kind of stuck in the middle of it. Just fascinating, but not surprising. You should know this, fans, because you're in it. You're living in this type of simulation.
It is just funny though that like it's become this situation where we hear a large amount of money and we're like, okay, that's not really that big of a deal. But truly, like, I mean, $250,000 is the number I see people in the chat throwing around about the retention bonus. That literally is nothing. That's a court storming fee. That's nothing.
Like Andrew Armstrong's getting that in NIL or something. Like,
yeah,
right. Yeah, that's like Jalen Graham's weekly salary. That's nothing. But it really is like it's not something that it's like, hey, we would want to fire our coach, but we can't because of this. These things do not qualify under that.
No, not none whatsoever. But looking at the game tomorrow, I thought this was fascinating, guys. Billy Napier staying at Florida. We know that. Put out a statement from the athletic director, and what did they do? They went out and they beat LSU and have played a lot better now than what they did before. But it was fascinating because Florida linebacker Shamar James was recently talking with Chris Doering on SEC radio. And what he said was what got him going, what made him play better, what made him beat LSU, everything. He said, quote, "We love Coach Napier. We love the job that he's doing here, and we ultimately believe in him. And I'd be lying if I said we weren't seeing the tweets and the blogs and all the rumors. I'd say that just wanting Coach Napier here, just playing hard for a coach you can stand behind. That's kind of why we play so hard. We want to keep Coach Napier." Now, the reason I bring that up is because we alluded to it a little bit yesterday, but even more so now. That is what's going to be fascinating about this thing with Sam Pittman, because players have seen the chatter, things on Twitter, message board stuff. You've seen all that. Are they going to have the same mentality of, hey, we're going to fight for Sam Pittman. We're going to fight for him staying here. Is that what's going to happen?
I mean, if we just look at recent history here, I mean, last year, Hunter Yurachek announced that Sam Pittman was coming back and how excited the players were in the locker room. And then they responded by getting the ever-loving hell beat out of them by Missouri. Mm-hmm. So, we'll see.
Yeah, that's what's fun about it. I mean, I was thinking about this the other day because we talked about it and said that Arkansas would likely put out a statement, whether it's this week after they beat Louisiana Tech or next week, whenever, that they are either retaining Pittman or, moving on. They'll put out some type of statement, but they did that last year. So can you really do it twice in a row? I don't think you can. I don't think you can annually announce that you are not firing your coach. I don't know. So I think you got to just not put out a statement.
That's a good point. Like, I think like that you get one of those. Yeah. It's the one card you play. But if you're constantly each year just being like, all right, guys, just let's just get it out of the way. We're keeping the coach. It usually means you're not putting out that statement unless there's uncertainty. And if you're having 2 years in a row where there's uncertainty and the second time you're still doing it, maybe you need to look at yourself and look at the situation and be like, you know what? Maybe we need to move on. Maybe there needs to be something different going on.
Well, then you'd go into next year and say you go 9-4 and it's all everyone's happy. Then you almost have to put out another statement being like, still keeping with them 2026. Like, you just keeping this thing rolling because you've done it the 2 prior years.
Man, just make a scheduled tweet, Hunter Yurachek. Just put out a scheduled tweet.
He's good at those.
That's true. It's true, man. I'll tell you what. One of these days, I'm going to catch him where he's going to be putting out he's going to put the wrong Twitter handle into "Good luck to so-and-so tonight. Good luck to Razorback women's tennis against Little Rock tonight in Bud Walton Arena." Like, that's what I'm going to hope for.
Got ratioed to hell and back last night on the women's basketball one.
Oh, man. That was bad. He should be ratioed. Ratioed is a good way to get your message across, a good ratio. It's always needed. But yeah, man, this is a weird time. It's a desperate time. It's not a fun time for some, but hey, we're going to have fun with it. It's a Friday, right? We got to have fun with it. A lot of Razorback events.
A little bit off topic, but I want to tell you guys the story anyway, because it was funny to me. Okay. I got a DM from somebody on Twitter /X yesterday. And just I have no idea who it was, like no mutual follows or anything, but he was just like, hey man, listen to some of your stuff and know that you used to coach at Lindenwood. He's like, I was at William Jewell while you were there. They were in our conference, whatever. So like familiarity. Okay. And he was saying, my best friend is a starter for Drake basketball. And he was like, and it look, I think they're going to be playing Oklahoma State tomorrow. And so his matchup would 100% be Devo Davis. I was like, just wondering if you could, throw me some notes or some tips or whatever. That way I could give it to him. And by the time I saw it, I already had another message from him. He goes, never mind. Oklahoma State's trash because they lost. And so the matchup isn't happening at this tournament because they got punked by Florida Atlantic yesterday.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so I was like, oh man, I would have had a lot for you, bud. But
yeah. Good thing you didn't put in all the work of like putting together this film and this tape to send over to him. And never mind. Ooh.
You should have just responded and been like, on any given night, you're either going to get Gary Payton, Steph Curry, or, one of the worst basketball players you've ever seen.
Or the Troy version of DJ Wagner. Yeah. Like it's just, it's so random, man. But it's funny. And it's kind of crazy what's going on over in that thing at, I think it's at Charleston, but it's like you have the matchups that you expected in the second round of this tournament. It's like, oh, okay, Oklahoma State and Miami are playing each other. And then, Drake and Florida Atlantic in the other game. But it's the wrong way between the winners bracket and the losers bracket because
so Florida Atlantic's good again, by the way.
They're okay.
A little Ewing theory with John L. Davis, huh?
Yeah.
No, it's really that getting the coach out of there. That's probably what really set the program to the next level.
Probably so. Yeah.
Especially the win over Oklahoma State. We'll get to your phone calls, folks, but since we're kind of discussing it, it's just a simple Alumni Hall question of the day, sponsored by Alumni Hall. Check them out with all the great Razorback apparel there at 3417 North College Avenue. Also online at alumnihall.com/Arkansas-Razorbacks. You'll see all the great apparel. You got Johnny O, Nike, Columbia, Peter Millar, everything with Alumni Hall, all Razorback all the time. And I just simply asked for this weekend, there's a few Razorback events going on. Which Razorback event are you the most excited about? I didn't fit it there in the graphic. I apologize. But football versus Louisiana Tech, basketball versus Little Rock, or soccer versus Cal. And 55% of the vote says basketball versus Little Rock. 26% says Florida football versus Louisiana Tech, and 18% says soccer versus Cal.
I think
18%?
The winner of that poll is not surprising, and I think it's telling that football and soccer is as close as it is.
Yeah, dude, look, soccer's got a massive game. NCAA tournament, like there's more stakes in that game than any of these games, but 18% for soccer I did not expect to hear that. I would go basketball versus Little Rock as well. With the only caveat being that like I got some family coming in town tomorrow, so maybe the football game will be, slightly cooler, but only for that, not because of the actual product on the field.
Well, if you're excited about the basketball game, folks, you need to be there tonight. How about that? You need to show up. And again, I'll keep saying it. If you have tickets to give away, let me know. I'll make sure somebody gets them.
I'm going to say, where do we want to set our over-under for attendance tonight at?
Well,
a good crowd.
We're never going to get the official number, but I'd say 14,500.
That's exactly what I was going to say. And I'll go over.
Say 14.
I think I'll go over for this one. And it'll be right back down to like 9K for Monday. And I don't blame people for Maryland Eastern Shore, but I think it'll be a pretty decent little crowd tonight.
It should be. I don't know what there's always going to be excuses, but there needs to be a good, solid, fun, energized crowd after being called out all week long.
And just fill the lower bowl at least. But more than anything for me, I don't really care how many people are in there. I just want the atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like
energy.
People who are in there, get loud because we say this thing, or I say this thing. I know other people do too. It's like Bud Walton Arena, like you have to be 10 points better than Arkansas minimum to beat them in that building. That's not true right now. But when it's rocking, sometimes it's more than that. Like it really can create an advantage. So I'd be interested to see how this team kind of responds and plays in a really, really good atmosphere, because they feed off of that energy, man. And as good as they already are defensively and kind of creating some havoc, I don't know, like you get a kind of a rowdy crowd behind this group, and I think they could be really fun. They were against Kansas, exhibition or not, but I'm anxious to see what they look like when they have some actual fan support in there.
Yeah. And I mean, as we always say, fast start for the team always helps in that regard. Cause then even if they, if it's rocking early, even if it is only, 13, 14,000, which I am a little concerned because I feel like if there's 15,000 in there, I feel like the 4,000 missing seats would be from the lower bowl just because it's like those are the ones that are kind of iffy. Yeah. Sometimes like I could see the upper deck being completely full. So hopefully they maybe will usher some folks down. But yeah, it could be a perfect storm of, hey, you get a guy or two back from injury, John L. Davis looking healthy, crowd starts rocking. All of a sudden, they run these dudes out of the gym by 30.
Like this comment from JT Hazelwood. He says, I wish Landmark would be better about ushering people down to the lower bowl instead of just standing there like a stupid tree stump. Well, the Landmark people got their money, man. They don't have to do that stuff.
Yeah.
It needs to be up to the U of A and John George on the PEA to just tell everybody, hey, come down and find your seat.
Yeah.
If you're up there in the upper section.
Have Cal get on the mic, before the game. Eric Musselman wasn't above it.
Yeah.
Cal loves the microphone, man. He was talking to Mike the entire time we were at Pine Bluff.
Hey, dude, he'll get on the mic and he'll simply do, all right, how many people here want to come down here to the lower bowl? Anybody? Anyone? Come down to the lower bowl.
Dude, what
come
coach
down
grabbed
here.
The mic recently? Like for some reason, some coach grabbed the mic in like the last 2 years. I don't know if it was over.
Jerome Tang did it once.
Yeah, was it over like court storming or something like that? Or
I think so.
I think I know what you're talking about, Andrew. I felt like there was a coach that got on there because they were ripping one of their former players, like that transferred to the other team that was on the other team. And they were like being really mean to him or something. I felt like that was something that was
I think Cal should start pushing the limits though, and just like start grabbing it and being like, "All right, guys, now watch it. We're about to switch things up here. Just check this out."
Hey, well, he wasn't mic'd up or on the PA, but he got mad at the student section when they started chanting "overrated" against Kansas. Mm-hmm. So. Yeah, don't tempt Cal. He'll get on that mic. Don't tempt him. He'll go over there and put John Williams in a chokehold and grab that mic and take it from him. You absolutely would.
How much of a difference do you think it'll make? Let's say Arkansas beats Illinois and Miami. In those back-to-back games, and they come back home for UTA or whoever the hell it is they're playing. You think that'd make a dent?
I think so.
Or whatever. Yeah,
I think so. It'll provide some energy.
It would be not football season as well. Like it would just be a time where people could it'll probably be a lot of their first time going. They're like, all right, it's time to lock in on the hoops now. They're really cooking.
Andrew, it's still going to be football season. You're getting ready for that Birmingham Bowl, baby.
You think the travel to the bowl game will be an issue for one of these these basketball games?
How mad are people going to get at us on the Pot of That Nature post game tomorrow when we're like, hey, the season extended. Listen, these bowl practices, they're huge. Like this is great for the
the most important step a team will take week 1 to week 2, of course, but week 14 to the bowl game, that's one of the biggest jumps a team will make.
Yeah,
that's when we found out Drew Morgan was a good receiver. I remember Brett Bielema was saying that,
and everybody.
I remember him saying that during the Texas Bowl. He's like, we had a few practices, we started throwing the ball. Drew Morgan, not bad, and then look what he did.
I'm going to go ahead and tell people in advance. Go ahead and get your ammo ready to yell at me because I am going to do the. Hey, I'm happy for the guys. I am making it to a bowl. And, for some dudes, and it is true, seniors who don't have an option to come back or everything, like you get a few more weeks of football before you go, work in an office or whatever. So from that standpoint, I'll be happy for them and people will be pissed at me and that's okay.
Yeah. I just can't wait to do the thing of, looking in the bowl game, whoever they're going up against, be like, some of these players are playing for the Razorbacks for the very first time because you're going to see a bunch of guys you've never even heard of. Like, I'm sorry, who? What?
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's going to be it's going to be incredible. So, let's go ahead and work through some of these phone calls. We got a bunch of people who have been patiently holding. We'll start off with Cody, I believe who it is from Texarkana. What's up, Cody?
How's it going, guys?
Going good, man.
Hey, I just want to first and foremost say thank y'all for what y'all do. Y'all get some pretty good insight. And, we have a couple guys in the state of Arkansas that don't really know what the hell they're talking about.
No way.
Just want to say that first.
We appreciate it.
But, no, I wanted to ask about Sam Pittman and if there was a time that y'all thought that, okay, he's lost it.
A time, I would say,
great question.
Honestly, when I was at that point was when it was the Mississippi State game last year, when it was 7-3, and that moment where they were, I guess, about to line up for a field goal, with Cam Whittle, and then they took a delay of game that took him out of field goal range, and they punted it. And afterwards, Pittman was like, I didn't know what to do. To me, that was like that is one of the ultimate sins of a head coach, especially in that situation, to one, let that happen, and two, to admit afterwards, I didn't know what to do. You can't ever say that sentence.
Right.
Yeah. And then that's also, I mean, they fired Enos right after that, right?
Yeah.
Which was,
right.
I mean, the right move to make. But then, like, when you're firing coordinators mid-season, and, you know, like, that was tough. And they, like, briefly fooled us the next week, and then the bottom fell out.
That was one of the best decisions of the Pittman era that goes under the radar, because he could have very easily waited 3 weeks to fire Dan Enos, and it might not have worked out as well. Like, they might have just both gotten fired at the same time. But I feel like firing Enos mid-season really made him the obvious scapegoat that I feel like absolutely bought Pittman this season, and now it looks like he's bought another season and didn't even have to fire anyone for it.
Okay, I'm gonna tell y'all mine, and y'all might disagree, but 2 years, I guess it was 2 years ago, we played Missouri State. Bob Petrino came to town, and we barely won that game. And after the game, the University of Arkansas is putting out, turn that damn jukebox on in the locker room. That's stuff we can't do. That game is not to be celebrated. We had a lot to work on, and that was like, okay, we're going to be mediocre. At that point, in my mind, I said, enough's enough.
I take it you're not a Club Dub guy?
No, not a Club Dub guy. Not at all.
That was one of Pittman's classics. I was out coached, was against Bob Petrino in 2022.
Yeah.
He said that after the game.
Exactly. One other thing is Bo, and I can't remember the other guy's name. Who's on the show with Bo all the time?
Chuck.
Okay. Chuck was talking about Arkansas doesn't produce the Darren McFadden's and the Ryan Mallets all the time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny to me, we hired a guy by the name of Bobby Petrino. Ryan Mallett didn't originally go to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ryan Mallett was at the University of Michigan, and you hire a big-name guy, and all of a sudden Mallett comes to the building.
Yeah.
Time for us to go get a guy.
Oh, yeah. No, I got you, and we appreciate the phone call, Cody. The only difference with that situation is the reason Mallett didn't come to Arkansas originally is, one, Houston Nutt was the coach, and two, they had Mitch Mustain at the time. And then when that all didn't work out, Ryan grew up a Razorback fan. He always wanted to be a Razorback, and the opportunity presented itself. It was just great timing.
His coach got fired too, right?
Yeah. Rich Rodriguez came in and replaced, what was his name at Michigan?
It was
Lloyd
Brady
Carr.
Hoke that came in and replaced Rich Rod, right?
Correct, yeah. It was Lloyd Carr, who had been there forever and won a national championship. Then he got fired, and they brought in Rich Rodriguez. And obviously, Ryan Mallett wasn't exactly fitting the system of a Rich Rodriguez offense. So they moved on. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, you got to go get dudes, but I mean, it's a lot easier said than done overall. So let's see. Got a couple of I believe this is Ryan in Paragould, I think. What's up, Ryan?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Going
Thanks
good.
for taking my call.
Of course.
Hey, so I was just listening to the previous guy, and I was thinking about the Missouri State game as well, and then the Liberty loss later that year, and you kind of got the feeling that was the beginning of the end. Those are games that shouldn't be close and they can't lose. Yeah, I know we're talking about are we keeping Pittman because of money and the uncertainty with revenue sharing. I think whenever we hired Pittman, hey, he's kind of an Arkansas guy and he's a great recruiter. But our recruiting classes have gotten worse every year. I've got some numbers for you. Our 2025 class has one nationally rated player in it. We have one 4-star recruit. We're the 30th ranked class in the country and the 14th ranked class in the SEC. This is the worst class put together at Arkansas since 2018. These are all from 24/7. Now, Pittman's supposed to be a recruiter. He's never been a head coach, so he couldn't hang his hat on being a great tactician, a great leader. He was supposed to be a recruiter, and our classes have gotten worse every year. It's time for this to end. I think the Pittman era is done.
Well, appreciate your phone call, Ryan. Hate to break it to you, but I don't think it's done. I think that they're going to be bringing him back. But I will say, and not to defend Pittman a little bit, but honestly, I don't give a rip about high school rankings anymore, especially when you're sitting in a situation like with Pittman where he could be not the coach next year. To me, it's about that transfer portal. That's what you got to make sure you're doing a good job at. Now, if you don't do a good job at that, then that's one thing, but high school recruiting ain't as big.
His first two or three transfer classes were really solid. Like even the first year, just the guys they brought in. And that's even dipped a little bit. Like I think this past year's transfer class was like number 26 nationally, which isn't bad or anything, but you also have a high school class that was ranked like 27th. So it's like you're not really, you kind of have to do one or the other usually. But that is what's kind of funny about it is as much as we talk about NIL and the transfer portal and how it's so hard to navigate, Pittman's actually done pretty serviceable in that regard. The transfer portal stuff, but the high school recruiting, you look at this, I mean, this year's class, like you said, worst since 2018. You look at the 2021 class, I sent it to y'all earlier, literally only has 2 starters from it. 2022 only has a couple starters from it. Almost the entire class was a bust. Like, it's the high school recruiting that Pittman is not really able to overcome. And it's not, I agree with you, John. Like, it's not like I'm like looking for like Arkansas's got to have a great high school recruiting class, but you can't be completely dependent on the portal. And so it's, it's kind of weird that the thing that we didn't think was going to be an issue has been kind of one of the bigger issues.
It's about a balance. It's about a balance of having it to where almost in the way of like Cal, I know you have a much bigger team and more players, but hey, get some high school players, but get a lot of those transfers. Have a balance of it all.
There's just levels to this. I mean, at the end of the day, it's what it is. If you're borderline top 25, as a class overall, that's good for, the bottom tier of the SEC. And Sam Pittman has not moved that needle in any regard. Chad Morris was arguably a better recruiter than he was. So, for him to need to be the recruiting guy, and the whole thought process behind that was, he's probably going to get all these 5-star offensive linemen, which hasn't happened. But yeah, I mean, they were 11th in the SEC in terms of their portal class last year, and they had more transfers that they brought in than everybody besides Texas A&M and Ole Miss. So, how is that going to get better? And then what the hell did we really expect? Like, his 2025 class is lower than maybe it has been the last few years, a little bit, slightly or whatever, but he entered the season on the hot seat. Like, he was already put in a position where he wasn't going to get a bunch of high school studs anyway, because people aren't expecting him to be around, and he's not going to be around for 4 more years for any of those kids. So that's one thing to keep in mind there. Maybe you can get the 1-year rentals, who can come in the portal and help you. But then at the end of the day, are you going to be able to do that too? Like, is Arkansas ever going to be in the position where they're even mentioned in one of these bidding wars like we're seeing for these quarterbacks right now? You know what I mean? Like, that's never going to happen. Sorry. I mean, and if they get, this 20 million in revenue sharing, not all of that is going to go to the football program. A decent chunk of it will. But all that's going to do, it's like inflation. I mean, it's just going to increase the price that all these kids are demanding. Yeah. It's not like all of a sudden they'll be able to go get, a higher level of talent because they have the money to go do it. No, the price tag is going to go up. That's exactly what happened during portal season for basketball this year. Guys who cost you $100K during the last off season were $400,000 or $500K this off season. That's why we're seeing like the $2 million men and everything like that now. It's ridiculous. It's going to jack up the prices.
Well, and I thought it was very interesting that Pittman, when he was asked about this, was like, yeah, I don't think we were in a position the last 3 years to build a championship roster. And he acted like he kind of did think they are now in that position, which I agree with your assessment that it really doesn't change. No one's standing is going to change that much. It's just a slightly different alteration of what we're already experiencing. Yep. So we'll find out. I mean, Sam has a chance to go out there and prove. I think that's going to be a big selling point for him is I actually do now have the ability to go out there and build a championship roster. Well, I guess we're going to find out because, I mean, these rosters are built in the next 3 months.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you're going to basically know what your team looks like fully next season here soon, and you'll be able to have a good idea of what it looks like and everything. Got a couple more calls we'll work through here before we move on. Let's go to Ryan, who's in Hot Springs. What's up, Ryan?
Well, the last two callers, man, they've been leaving a lot of information out on some of their arguments. Like he was talking about I don't remember the last call before. He was talking about kind of the losses and stuff, or how some of the close games we've had in 2022. But never mind that we were down to our almost third string on pretty much everything in the secondary at some point during the year. I mean, I've never seen a one side of the ball be completely wiped out by injury the same way Arkansas was in 2022. Whenever, I mean, you lost Drew Sanders for a little while, I think for like a game or half a game or something. I remember he got hurt. He was not as good there for a little while. He picked it back up later in the season. But then, what's the kid that Bumper? He wound up. How many games did he miss at the end of the season because he had to have leg surgery?
He missed a few, but he was like playing less and less down the stretch anyway. Like Pooh Paul ended up having more snaps than him.
Yeah,
down the stretch. He has a few games for sure.
Well, and they were. I mean, it was reported that he almost missed the A&M game, but he played through it. I do remember that.
Yeah,
but I say all that to say that there 2022, he was kind of handed some bad luck with the injury bug, and I thought he did a good job of coaching through it. I mean, you saw Bielema. Bielema couldn't do it. Bielema had something similar and went 4-8. Now, I wanted to y'all were talking about the Pittman thing. As soon as I heard we heard Petrino, when we were getting a kid out of Boise, my first thought was, well, the goal next year will be to get a bowl game, get this kid, learn the system, get him in the next off season, and shoot to try to really do springboard something in 2025. That's pretty much been how I saw it, and that's kind of the way it's gone. Now, I thought we would be a little hotter coming down the stretch towards the end of the season. I figured that Talon would kind of have the offense by the reins a little better. I mean, he's done a pretty good job, but I thought he might be a little further down the road than he is. But as long as we get the 6 wins, I feel like that's kind of what the goal was for this year, was to get to a bowl game and springboard into 2025 and try to make some noise in 2025.
Well, okay. Look, I think you're right on a lot of what you said. I think the 2022 team absolutely, probably should have won 2 more games and was fully capable of winning a couple more games. Like it very well could have been another 8-4, 9-4 type of season. But that was also a team that had a top 10 transfer class. Like we were talking about earlier, those first couple transfer classes that Pittman had were very good. Like he did a good job capitalizing on that success from the 2021 season, but the high school recruiting was so bad that it kind of caught up to him, where now in 2023 they had a substantially worse team from a talent standpoint. They didn't bring in quite as good of a transfer class, and then you couple that up with this year's team, which also brought in like a fine transfer class, but nothing crazy, and your high school recruiting hasn't really ramped up either. So now the talent level is just going down and down. So there's a little bit more pressure. Like you said, you think Arkansas's got a chance to kind of springboard into 2025. Well, they're going to have to do that in a big way during this transfer period that we're talking about to kind of back up that sentiment and what Sam Pittman has been talking about with this whole, we have a chance to build a championship roster with the revenue sharing situation.
Yeah. Appreciate your phone call, Ryan, as always, man. That is a what if situation, or at least looking back, you can't do anything about it, but it does always make me wonder. You alluded to it a little bit yesterday. If Pittman, Yurchek, whoever would have just, been a little bit more patient with Kendall Briles and the Jimmy Sexton thing, and Briles stayed as OC last season, what would be the feeling or the outlook of Pittman and last year's team and all of that? I mean, I don't think they would have gone 4-8. Would they have gone 8-4? I don't know. But it's amazing, like what Brandon Marcel said, that was his biggest issue. And how different it would be if they moved on from Briles last year and then brought in Petrino this year, or whatever it was, if Arkansas would have gone 7-6 last year again, or something like that. How would the feeling be, and how would the vibe be for that? But it just shows you, my point is, it just goes to show you that one mistake can change your entire outlook and vibe and feeling of a head coach. Like, it can really just destroy you all in one fell swoop. So, but yeah, it's fun to look back on those times, and I don't know if fun's the right word, but interesting.
Yeah, and I will say to his point there, talking about like, he just feels like maybe the goal was to show enough improvement to get back to the postseason and then see what you can do in year 2 with the coordinators, Talon Green, whatever. Yes, that is very clearly and publicly out there as what their goal seems to have been. Now, does that jive with the expectations of this fan base? Doesn't seem that way. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right in your assessment that that's kind of what they were looking for with this season is exactly what they're getting so far.
Can we do another victory lap for our season predictions? We just nailed it. 5-7, 6-6, 7-5.
Yeah,
that's where we were at.
One of us is right. We're all close. Yeah,
it's true. It's true. One of us is going to go home a winner in this. One of us is going to be a winner. I have a feeling it's more than likely going to be Ellis at 6-6.
I think so too.
But
if it's me, then we will get that coaching, sir.
But see, yeah, most of you are probably hoping Curtis is right now.
Well, if it's John, then Arkansas is preseason ranked 23rd going into 2025.
That's right. Yeah.
No, I'll never
After
feel
top 10 transfer class.
I can see the headlines now.
I'll never feel
now. That's what the headlines are going to say.
I'll never feel dirtier for getting a 7-5 season than what I will then, or just be like, cool. But 7-5, 4-4 in SEC play. I mean, said it before the year. I will say though that my games were off because I did have them beating Oklahoma State, but losing to Tennessee, and I think I even had them losing to Missouri, to be honest. So
I had them beating Tennessee, but losing to Auburn. But when I had them beating, I don't know what it was. I had them beating what's their faces, Oklahoma State, and losing to Auburn.
Yeah, that'd be fun. We're gonna have to revisit that once the regular season is over and look back at our picks that were really accurate and pretty close to it. So, because where was Arkansas picked? They were picked to finish 14th at SEC Media Days, I believe. So
they'll finish higher than that.
They're gonna be higher.
Cash their Vegas over under. They can do that tomorrow. Yeah, things are looking up.
Yeah, everything's fine now. Everything's great. Speaking of which,
myself into it.
Don't talk yourself into anything at this point. I did say, I think it was funny. Vegas puts out power rankings themselves, which you can say about anyone's power rankings, but I think it's interesting when it's Vegas because of the numbers that. Just out of curiosity, ask you guys, where do you think Arkansas ranks in the SEC in power rankings from Vegas right now? Where it stands?
9th.
I was going to say 11th.
9th is correct. Curtis nailed it. Who do you think the teams that Arkansas is above? I want to see if you guys can name these.
Who they're above?
Who they're above. Like who's the teams under them?
Mississippi State, Kentucky.
Auburn, Kentucky. Yep.
Who else sucks right now?
Yeah, one of them's easy. I felt like.
Not Vanderbilt, right?
No. It's a new. Actually.
Oklahoma.
No. Oklahoma. There you go.
Yeah. And there's one more.
Two more.
Two more.
These two are probably going to surprise you.
I mean, seriously, LSU?
No. Oh, and I'm sorry, by the way, guys. I screwed up. My bad. Auburn is not below Arkansas.
They're not.
Mm-mm.
All right, so I'm back.
But Vanderbilt is.
Missouri?
Missouri's 1. That's also below Arkansas.
Below Arkansas?
So how many are we missing now? Just one?
Just one. It's another team that sucks.
Florida?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So you basically have Arkansas is at number 27 in the country, but they're at 9th. Then you have Florida, Missouri, Kentucky, Oklahoma, Vanderbilt, Mississippi State. Those are your power rankings in Vegas.
Crazy. If you go look at the 24/7 Sports team talent rankings, that's about right where Arkansas is.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're perfectly matched there. But Arkansas's at 27th. Auburn's at 26. So, I mean, they're right next to each other there.
You have them at 27th there. If Arkansas beats Louisiana Tech this weekend, they'll be back in the ESPN's FPI top 25.
ESPN might have them in the damn playoff.
Like it does, dude. It does not matter what they do leading up to a win. They get a win, they go back in that top 25 every week. It's crazy.
They gave them about an 82% chance to beat LSU too. They were like, these teams are about to smoke LSU.
Oh, jeez. Well, LSU's at 17th, South Carolina at 15, A&M at 12, Tennessee at 8, Ole Miss 6, Georgia 4th, Alabama 3, and Texas number 2. So, anyways, just a little caveat there. We'll take another phone call real quick because I know we're going to get on to some other things too. Let's go to Parker, who's in Jonesboro. What's up, Parker?
What's going on, man?
What's up?
Oh, I was just going to say, talking about the Taylon Green potential, it starts with the O-line, and if he's getting running for his life all the time, I mean, there ain't much you can do. So if we're going to build a championship roster or whatever, it's going to take getting some absolute dudes in the transfer portal to go to the offensive line. You know, that's made a lot of work done there. And then I don't know who you get to replace Andrew Armstrong on the at the wide receivers, because other than him, there ain't been anybody that has stepped up, you know, or able to compete out there in each game. So I appreciate it.
Well, I agree with both of those things. I mean, Taylon Green I think it's very clear at this point, he is a quarterback that needs a good offensive line to really be able to spread his wings and fly. So, you know, ideally they'd see some improvement there. Some people will say it could happen organically because they might have some dudes coming back. I say, does a bad offensive line become a good one just with an offseason of work? I don't know. We'll find out. Maybe we will, maybe we won't. Hell, we don't know who's entering the portal, who's coming back or what. But the wide receiver thing is huge to me. Like, he's got to have weapons, and Armstrong is quite literally the weapon. That's kind of it. And I mean, they're going to have to, you know, this NIL that they're talking about, they're going to have to spend it on those positions there. And they're going to have to get him more than one. Like, you can't just go out and get one good receiver and then come back next year with a guy who you hope can replace Andrew Armstrong, who hasn't proven it for you yet, and then all the guys who you've had for the last 2 or 3 years who haven't really done anything.
Dude, Satania next year, man. I'm telling you, next year, Satania.
Exactly.
No, but I really think, you know, we always say that we think that Arkansas's offensive line is better equipped in the run game than they are in pass protection, which, you know, seems to be the case. Should they just go out and get the biggest, like, go back to having a 350-pound offensive line and just like try and lean on some boys, and then just say, hey, we'll maybe get a receiver, a big red zone target or something, but we're just gonna have Taylon be like 8 for 14 every game. He's gonna run the ball. He's gonna pack on 10 pounds and run the ball 25 times a game. We're also gonna have a beefy running back along with Braylon Russell, and we're just gonna lean on some boys. Is that Arkansas's best path to success offensively?
I think so. Well, and I think also, you know, I don't know how much Taylon's making, but I don't think Taylon is going to be one of those quarterbacks here in this offseason that you're going to have to, pardon the way of putting it, but sign an extension or give a raise to because of so many teams coming after him. It's not an insult to him. It's just reality. Cool. So with that being said, since you don't have to go and get some high-dollar quarterback, and if you truly do have a much better NIL package, like what Brandon Marcel says, Landon Jackson's coming off the books, and who knows who else you lose. But if that's the case, okay, then you should be able to have you identify about start with offensive line. Boom, boom, boom. All right, get at least one big-time wide receiver, maybe a tight end if somebody transfers. And that should be good, because I still think Braylon Russell coming back, R-Dub coming back, you'll still have some running backs that you can maybe work with. Maybe you go get some. But the point is, this should be a situation, if it's true about the NIL, and it's true that it has improved, go and get those guys right now, big time, and maybe, just maybe, with Taylon Green being in the system for a second year, maybe, just maybe, the offense will actually make tremendous strides next season to be pretty serviceable.
I'm not playing this mental gymnastics game with you people. No, I get it. And here's my question too, because a lot of people are unsatisfied with the quarterback situation. I think there's a couple ways to go about this here. You could just be like, they just got to go out and get a guy. They just got to go pay a bunch of NIL money and get a quarterback. And then you're going to be doing the same damn thing going, boy, I'd love to see him in year 2 under Marino, you know? And so, no, that's not really an option. You bring Green back. Do you just do that? And you're like, all right, here we go. Do you open up the competition with him and Singleton? Because is Singleton going to stay?
I wouldn't.
Well, I was going to say, that's your other option, is run Green out of town and then just build around Singleton. But then again, same thing where Singleton will make some strides throughout the year. Well, we got to see year 2 with Singleton, so bring everyone back. Then you're just kind of really.
Maybe KJ Jackson just takes off.
That'd be cool.
Season. He's like, he's just him.
The wild card of the whole thing. He turns out to be Jalen Milroe. Electric.
Well, I'm hoping that with Petrino being the guy that or at least I believe him to be, he needs to be assessing the situation this offseason and be like, okay, I went in on Taylon. But is he, after what I saw in this year, is he the guy? Is he somebody that I believe next season and this offseason is going to improve and be better? If he's not, if you're having hesitation about that, you need to make that decision quick, fast, and in a hurry. You need to be like, hey, either go on to Malachi Singleton or be like, hey, coach, this ain't it. We got to move on. Find something, but you need to really assess and make dadgum sure that Taylor's your guy. Because if he comes back next year and we're seeing the same stuff and he's not improved, then it's a failure on Petrino's part, major failure on his part.
And do we also? I don't want to put this out there in the ether. I'm just thinking out loud. Are we completely certain that Taylor's going to want to come back?
Yeah,
because he's just getting shit on relentlessly, man.
He does.
But where's he going to go? I guess is the question.
I don't know what his other option is going to be. Yeah, like maybe like a smaller school will just be like, hey, here's a bag.
Back to Boise.
He's like, hey, I saw Gene T win the Heisman. Let me just go back. Well,
and if we're saying that, if we're doing the thing where we're like, well, where's he going to go? Then is he really a starting quarterback in the SEC?
Dude, Matt Hobbs would have this dude throwing 89 mile-an-hour sliders, dude. Get him in that pitching lab. I guarantee you he'd be a problem. But no, I'm really happy that we're having this conversation because it just made me think for the next like 6 months, we're gonna be on firm is Taylor # the guy watch. Yeah. Like we're gonna be over analyzing his every move. If he's smiling when Arkansas is down in the fourth quarter against Missouri, we're gonna be nitpicking everything he does, and I look forward to it.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying that it's already really short of a leash as it is. But if they keep Taylor and it is Petrino, I'm talking about the first 2 games next season. I'm gonna be like, all right, let's see this. And if he ain't better, and if he ain't doing things in the first 2 games, then I'm out. I'm like, you screwed up, Petrino. You screwed this thing up because you had a chance. And especially if Malachi Singleton transfers out. Because if I'm Malachi, if Taylor's staying, I'm out. I don't know if I'm going to get an SEC gig, but
that's
I guarantee you there's people going to be out there asking about me.
I think they would definitely have to have some form of at least a half-assed competition in the spring.
Yes, they have to. And don't give me this crap.
That's what they did last spring.
I'm about to say, don't get miss me with this crap. I'll be like, oh, it's an open competition when it's really not. It's not. Actually have a competition. But I don't know. I do believe Taylor Green is good as a quarterback. I want to see him with better, improved weapons around him, which hopefully you have next season. And if you do, I want to see it. I'm curious. You have my curiosity of how it looks. However, if you go out there and your offensive line don't improve and you don't have a tight end position, if Luke has transfers out or your wide receivers are kind of just stuck with a bunch of unknowns and uncertainties, then that gives me no reason to believe that Taylor Green's going to be better or the offense is going to be better next season.
Yeah, I'm really interested in the weapons around him, the pieces around him argument, because understanding a second year in the system, could be beneficial or whatever. I do wonder, like at some point in your career, you kind of are what you are. And are we there, with Taylor? Whereas I don't know if that's the case. Like Singleton might have way more room for growth and improvement. We don't know that either, but like the sample size suggests maybe you could have that. Like he's played a lot of football, man. And he's pretty much been the same quarterback his entire career, regardless of stop and competition.
Well, that's why I feel like this spring you have to at least assess where you're at and really think about that. Because it's really tough to do that in fall camp, and so I think we will know. Look, there's going to be potentially 3 more games of Taylor and or Malachi, and then spring. I feel like in about 6 months we'll have a much better idea. When 6 months is a long time, even in 3 months we'll have a lot better idea of kind of the direction they want to go, and I think they will know. Because I don't know if they for sure made up their mind. I'm sure they're just week to week. How do we beat Louisiana Tech? How do we beat Missouri? They know Taylor's the guy for that, so they just roll with it. But I'm sure they will start to really have some of these big picture questions about what they want to do from the quarterback's development standpoint once the season starts winding down and that extension is kicking in.
Let me ask you guys something. Do you believe that Taylor Green has improved as the season gone on, stayed the same, or gotten worse?
Slight improvement.
I do. I would agree with that. Competition has been elevated a lot. But yes, I would agree. Slight marginal improvement.
He's become more accurate with the football. not as effective as a runner, not making as many like catastrophic mistakes as maybe he was, or maybe I thought he would. But the nuance stuff is still not there. Like that everybody talks about, holding on to the ball too long, not making his reads, not seeing the field, some decision making stuff, taking bad sacks, like all that stuff is still an issue, and it hasn't really improved.
Yeah. See, like early in the year, he was making bigger plays. There was like more variance, and he was he was awesome in some ways, but then also was like really detrimental in some ways. And I feel like he's just less up and down, and he's kind of just somewhere in the middle of like, he's more accurate. He makes better decisions. He's even taking better care of the football. But not making some of those high level, like, it's not like he's out there throwing for 400 yards or anything. It's just kind of, 21 for 30, 230, no touchdowns, no picks. And it's just kind of, it's like an okay day. And I feel like, we've kind of seen the full spectrum where he's capable of pretty much anything on a given play. But overall, I say all that to say slight improvement. Well,
I was thinking about it just since the A&M game. He's thrown 3 interceptions, and I'm pretty sure all 3 of those were either free play or not his fault. Like the interception against Texas, that was on Broden. Yeah. It hit him in the hands. The pick against LSU was just that weird play that hit the defender right in the hands, like the defensive lineman hit him in the hands and everything. Mississippi State was also a tip pass. So not making excuses, but he has improved upon that and everything. His accuracy's been better and improved overall, but I wanted to bring up this point too. That's we go back up here. David brought this up. He says, we overpaid for Blackstock, and you guys trust we'll be effective at spending more NIL money.
Not only do I not trust that they'll be more effective in spending NIL money, I'm also not sold that they're going to have so much more like people are talking about. We did this last year. Like, I remember this entire conversation exactly a year ago. Even Pittman was like, hint, hint, wink, wink. We got some things coming. Did you?
Mm-hmm.
I definitely don't trust. And that's kind of what we're saying, David, is like, look, they're putting out that messaging of like, hey, things will be a lot better in the offseason. We have a chance to build a great roster. And so it's kind of, we'll find out. But to say that we trust, no, we do not trust.
But I also will throw it out there too. No one wants to hear this, because I think there is a better margin of error, or maybe a less margin of error, when it comes to the transfer portal, knowing who's going to click and stuff. But sometimes there's players that just, you miss on in the transfer portal. I hate to be that way, but it's true. There was a time where, and I'm not saying Tesla is not a good player, don't get me wrong, but Tesla had a lot of offers. He had offers to go to Ole Miss. Like, there was offers there. And I mean, would anybody say that he's just been this tremendous big time player? No, maybe it's not necessarily all his fault, but sometimes there's just some misses there where everybody wants a player or is recruiting a player and it just doesn't work out. But will say, go ahead.
No, you finish your thought.
Well, I was going to say, of the players that are on the roster from the transfer portal, I mean, guys, who would we say is the biggest disappointment? Has it been Blackstock?
I was about to ask that exact question. Like, of the guys they brought in relative to like what the expectations were when they arrived, where are the busts, if you will?
Blackstock would definitely qualify as that. I would say, just because they did definitely, like, he even said it. He said it on the buzz. He was like, I went to the school that gave me the most NIL, and it was Arkansas. It's like, clearly there was like a purchase made there.
Arona became your starting left tackle. Nichols became your starting center. Yeah, Sori's been very good. Taylor Green, he is what I expected him to be. Now, that might not be good enough for everybody else, but when they brought him in,
Jackson could have been healthier, but he's been pretty much what we expected him to be.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think, Slaughter, maybe. Did we think Slaughter? I mean, even Slaughter, when he committed, I don't think we were like, yo, stop the presses. They got a safety from Tennessee.
Yeah, I took Slaughter as he's a starting SEC defensive back. Like that. That's not meaning that he's amazing. He's just a good enough defensive back to start in the SEC, which is what he is.
Cuddy's been exactly what he was supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'll tell you this, kicker.
Yeah.
That's on the kickers. Yeah. Although Shipley's been pretty good here lately.
Yeah. He's been improved, but
like June Kaj, maybe
he's a disappointment.
Yeah.
Major disappointment.
I don't know. I don't know if they gave him.
That's a good one.
I have no idea what they gave him for NIL or whatever, but he thought he was going to be better than it was. And
I would, man, I know it'll never happen, but I would just love to get my hands on like that Excel spreadsheet of just the amount of money for some of these transfers and stuff, and see who's making what, and just be like, wait, what if we found out that Blackstock was like the third highest paid transfer in this class or whatever? We'd be like, what? Or what if the players saw that, Quentin Jackson goes down there and says, hey, what the crap? Like, I'm pissed about this.
And Michael's like average. All of them are average. But like, what did you expect?
Right.
Like from them coming in, like they didn't go out and get Quinshon Judkins out of the portal. You know what I mean? Like
look, they said, like the team talent had Arkansas in the 25 to 30 range. The transfer class was ranked 26th in the country this past year. Arkansas is now 27th in the, like, it's like, it has kind of played out like about how it was supposed to. And I guess that's the theme. That's really the epiphany we've had on today's show is everything happened according to plan this season.
Set the bar at average, recruit average, play average, get average.
And be average. Yeah. Okay, so again, this is just fun to talk about since we're on the discussion. Since the transfer portal era started, so we'll say 2021 since that point. I mean, doing the top 5 transfers that Arkansas has had in the portal since that time, I think number 1 has to be Drew Sanders, right? Like he has to be the best transfer they got.
Maybe Landers. Probably Sanders.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll say Drew Sanders. Would you put number 2 Matt Landers? Or
Ridgeway was really good.
Well, Landon Jackson's been doing it for years.
That's true.
Landon was an interesting one because he was kind of a project when he came in.
Mm-hmm.
Armstrong is a top 3 transfer in the program.
Would you put Armstrong above Landers or below?
I'd probably have him, above Landers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Multiple years.
2 seasons, and he's probably gonna end up with over 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah. Would you so Sanders, Landon Jackson, Andrew Armstrong, John Ridgeway. Yeah. Who would be another one?
Ridgeway was really good.
Would you put Landers at 5?
Trying to think who they had in the anybody in the secondary.
Hazelwood was pretty good too.
Hazelwood
was he though? Was he though?
Yeah, what do you have, like 600, 700 yards?
I don't think he had that many. I could be wrong though. I don't know.
Maybe it's just because my expectation was so much higher for him.
Yeah. Landers had so many yards that I feel like Hazelwood didn't have much, but I don't know.
Yeah. But Hazelwood was good though. When Hazelwood would get the ball,
it was the opposite.
When Hazelwood would get the ball, like there was that time, I forgot which team they played, but when he just like stiff armed a linebacker, like just put him to the ground. Like he was good when he had the ball in his hand, but I just don't. When he was the one that Pittman admitted, where they were like, "Yeah, we promised him a starting spot before he even arrived on campus, and that was a mistake." And
he stunk in the spring, and it was like awkward because it was like you had like Keytron Jackson down there running with the 2s, and it was like
I miss that guy. I really liked Keytron Jackson. I thought.
No, Hazelwood was good, man. He had 59 receptions for 704 yards.
3 touchdowns. See, I didn't think it was that much. Okay, I'll take it
really
back.
Solid,
I thought for some reason he had like 400 and something yards, so that's my bad. But no, so he was good. So maybe we put Hazelwood in there. Our power rankings of transfers. Great.
Yeah, I love it. Also, our boy Zach here says, is there a single player making a significant impact that we brought in as a freshman? Because obviously we've rattled off a lot of transfers that have actually helped them. I mean, Cam Ball, Kudus. Kudus has played 3 games this year or whatever. Jaden Johnson. There's really only like 8 or 9
Braylon Russell
that are playing at all. Braylon Russell.
Well, sort of. Like he had one nice game.
I mean, I hate to say it but Luke has.
The
dude as a freshman was good and just not been utilized this year. So there's a few of those, but not many. Do you guys think Josh Braun comes back next year, even though he's walking?
I don't think so.
I don't either.
That dude's been married for 3 years. I feel like he's gotta do something.
Yeah, and he's got like 2 degrees already.
They might have to drop him a bag.
I mean, yeah, that'll be a fun thing to do also as soon as the season ends and be like, all right, we do a buy or sell. Do you keep this guy or do you process him? Just like
we'll have a show titled laying out Arkansas's budget for the 2025 offseason.
Yep. Oh man, I can't wait. That's the good stuff. That's the good content that people come here for and to have some fun with it. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting here in the next few weeks, especially knowing like who's going to be going and staying. I don't think will there be anybody that if you found out they're transferring out would shock you? Like you'd be like, holy crap, I did not see that coming.
No,
I'm not either.
Yeah, like I'm truly stunned.
I think Braylon Russell would shock me if he transferred out.
Now, dude, he literally tweeted out about an agent like less than a month ago. And
I know.
I think he was a little bit weird in his recruitment as well.
Yeah. No, I'm not saying that he wasn't just weird, but I'm just saying it would shock me because he could be potentially like the featured running back next season. And so if he transfers out, that means Arkansas just wasn't going to pony up money for him.
Yeah, it's like where are you going to go where you'd be a starting running back for a Power 4 team, like guaranteed? You know who's not going to transfer is R-Dub. He hates the transfer portal. He's very committed to staying. I really think he's going to be a 4 or 5 year guy.
That would be funny if he did transfer, just because you know how many people would be having that tweet and going back and grabbing it.
I mean, you talk about team captain last week, Rashad Dubinion. That dude's not transferring.
Well, Hudson Clark might transfer. He's going to transfer out.
I'd be sad. I would be pretty surprised. Cam Ball, like I'd be surprised and sad.
Yeah.
He would 100% be like second team all SEC if he transferred somewhere.
Yeah. I see a lot of people saying Luke has, like, I would be very upset if he transferred, but they also didn't throw him the football for 2 months. So like, I wouldn't be stunned.
Definitely not high up on the surprise list. It would be high up on the sad list though.
Yeah, for sure.
Somebody was asking, do you think Taylon Green gets to 3,000 yards with this season in a bowl game?
Yes.
You guys he's got 23-63 right now. So you think over the next 3 games?
He should, and people can miss me with like Louisiana Tech's defensive numbers or whatever.
Stop.
He should have a field day against these dudes on Saturday. Whether or not it happens, I don't freaking know. But he could make a huge dent in that.
For sure.
Do you think Andrew Armstrong gets a touchdown first, or he gets to 1,000 yards first?
He gets to 1,000 yards. I don't know where he's at, but
he's at 931
away or something like that.
Yeah, he's 931 right now.
Oh, so dude, he'll get that literally this weekend.
69 yards.
Halftime.
Hopefully he gets it on the same play, like just a 55-yarder.
No, he gets a 69-yard touchdown. First play of the game.
Yeah.
1,000 yards and another touchdown all in the same. That would be pretty sweet if that ended up happening. But I have my doubts. That's still just the stupidest stat I've ever seen in my life. Craziness.
I mean, look, we gave Chad Morris a lot of grief for not scoring a touchdown with Traylon Burks as a freshman, and he had like 600 yards and 0 touchdowns. I think 1,000 yards and 1 touchdown is borderline more egregious than 600 yards and 0 touchdowns.
I'd agree with that. But at the same time, too, there's only 2 players that have multi-touchdowns, more than 1 touchdown on this team in receptions. 2.
And they're both tight ends.
And they're both tight ends.
Does not score touchdowns, dude. That's a tough thing. Well, actually, I lied. Jaquin Jackson scores touchdowns. What's he got, like 15?
I'd say they have 26 rushing touchdowns and 12 touchdowns for receptions. That's crazy.
Jaquin Jackson, if he had stayed healthy, literally would have had a chance to break the school's touchdown record.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's got 11.
Exaggeration, but he would have been 4th all time or something like that.
No, I think you needed 23 touchdowns as a school record in this season for rushing touchdowns. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, or wasn't out of the realm of possibility. But still, yeah, oh man, this football team, this league, this team, man, makes you think. Makes your head hurt too when you try to think about it. I think they really need
to rat it. Like for Armstrong, they need to commit this weekend, get him 4 touchdowns so you can maybe get him on an All-American list. They'll be like, oh, dude, 1,100 yards, 7 touchdowns by the end of the year. They'll be like, you know what?
Yeah,
not
just
bad.
throw the little jet sweep like in the video game every single play and let him pop it in. Yeah, something like that. Got to get him into the end zone a lot more. All right, let's go ahead and jump into looking into the weekend. A little SEC update sponsored by Rhoback. Go to Rhoback.com, folks. Hogs by 20. Give 20% off your purchase. Got all the performance that you could possibly want when it comes to your apparel, whether it's hoodies, shorts, quarter zips, pants, joggers, polos, pullovers, all of it at Rhoback and Rhoback.com. Again, Hogs by 20 for 20% off your first purchase. Okay, so looking at the college football weekend, at least in the SEC. Few interesting games. Actually, I'm lying. I don't really know how many interesting games there truly are, but it is the SEC after all. But we know that Ole Miss in Florida is going to be an 11 a.m. kick down there in Gainesville. According to Bet Saracen, Ole Miss is favored by 12.5 points. You guys feeling upset alert for the Rebels?
Nah, because I think Florida just got it out of their system.
I do too.
Florida's getting way too much credit for being extremely average.
Yeah.
People are ready to crown Billy Napier for 5-5.
Yeah. They have the exact same record as Arkansas right now. So I don't like their chances. I think it might be close though. It might be interesting, but
yeah.
Ole Miss is coming off of a bye week. If Ole Miss lays an egg and loses down there, They should just give it up.
Michael, is Rhoback expensive? It's 20% less expensive if you use our promo code. So.
Yeah.
It's 1/5. Just cut off of it.
You can't put a price on good quality stuff.
That's right.
That's how I put it. Also, UMass Georgia, who cares? UTEP Tennessee, who cares?
Hang on. I just got to say this about UMass Georgia. It's crazy to me that they scheduled the way they did with like a half dozen SEC teams on their schedule, and then they fire their coach right before they go play Georgia.
Yeah,
that's like what did you expect coming into this year? First of all, you were going to get your ass beat like that many times. And now like whoever the interim is, it's like, hey, we're going to give you the keys the rest of the year. Here's your audition for the job. Good luck in Athens. I mean,
it's like giving Barry Lunny the job right before they play the greatest LSU football team ever assembled in Baton Rouge.
Exactly what it is. It's crazy, man. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah. Well, again, that's maybe they pull off the upset. Maybe the Minutemen do it for the. No, there's no chance. Texas and Kentucky. Texas favored by 20 to Bet Saracen. Anything like that? Any feeling?
Kentucky covers, Texas wins.
Yep.
I'm not feeling it with that offense, man. Texas.
I'm not either.
Especially against the Kentucky defense that likes to be good every now and then.
Yeah.
They like to show up on occasion.
Like they did beat Ole Miss. They did lose to Georgia by 1. They did lose to Tennessee by just a touchdown. Like against good teams, they've kind of held their own.
They only lost to Vandy by a few too.
Yeah.
How about Wofford, South Carolina? Do not care. Missouri, Mississippi State. Anything before the Hogs? Are they overlooking the Bulldogs for the Hogs in the big battle line rivalry?
Probably not, but I don't know what was the spread in this one.
8 points according to Bet Saracen.
Yeah, Missouri will win and cover that. But
I was gonna say I feel like Missouri beats them by 3 touchdowns potentially.
If Eli Drinkwitz loses to Mississippi State, I will be very happy if that happens.
How did Brady Cook play last week? He was pretty good, huh?
Last week,
second half, he was very good.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I knew he was like a game time decision. And it seemed like it took him a while to settle in. So I wonder this week if he we saw that Mississippi State defense. There's a good chance he puts up 400 on him. Yeah,
he basically did like the heroics thing, the 2-minute drill and long touchdown to Luther Burden or whatever, and then they gave up the go-ahead touchdown like 45 seconds later to Rocket.
Dude, isn't it crazy that Brady Cook, he only has 1,800 passing yards and only 8 touchdown passes?
Yeah, it's
weird.
Yeah, he's not been very good.
I mean, you got Luther Burden out there and that's your number? Like those are your numbers? Sheesh. How about Alabama, Oklahoma? Nothing? Anything?
Nah.
13.5 point favorites for the Tide there in Norman. Yeah, I'm not feeling it either. Some reason people feel this one. Auburn, Texas A&M. A&M's favored by 2.5 points according to Bet Saracen.
Dude, I don't know why that's that small. It's at Auburn, I assume.
Yeah, it's at Auburn.
Dude, Auburn played their entire schedule at home and lost every game.
Man,
did they get waxed though? Like how many times have they been blown out?
Not really.
About Auburn?
Yeah.
The only time they got actually like blown out this year was against Georgia. They lost to Cal by a touchdown. They lost to Arkansas by 10. Lost to Oklahoma by 6. Missouri by 4. And Vanderbilt by 10.
It blew a massive lead against Oklahoma.
I bet they lose by like 10.
Yeah.
So you'd still take Texas A&M in the points?
Yeah.
I like A&M in this game. I'm like kind of like does A&M have people maybe out or hurt or something? Like I feel like they win that game by at least a touchdown.
Well, their running back's out for the year, right?
Yeah. What's his name? Moss.
Yeah.
Auburn's been that weird team that some people have just believed in randomly at a case. Like I remember against Vanderbilt, they're just like, I think watch out for Auburn. I think this is the time they're going to get Vanderbilt and put them straight, and it didn't happen. So, but speaking of Vanderbilt, LSU, and Baton Rouge, the Tigers are only favored by 7.5 in a night game.
They don't cover.
Do they lose?
Probably not.
I think they win by a lot.
You think LSU does or Vanderbilt?
I think LSU does.
Well,
I think Vanderbilt.
Brian Kelly's out of juice. He gets the boys fired up.
Well, if Vanderbilt beats LSU, Brian Kelly's fired. As crazy as it is, he has to be. I'll put him at 6-5.
Dude, I'm telling you, that fan base is so mad right now.
They're pissed. I mean, I kind of would be too, though. I would be too.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
But some of their fans are doing the thing where they're like, well, I'm glad we didn't pay for that guy. I wasn't that impressed with him anyway.
Well, could be having a coaching search down there in Baton Rouge, and Brian Kelly will be available for someone if they want to get him on the cheap. So, but yeah, that's the SEC this weekend. Just a bunch of bangers of games. Which one of you pulled this up? I can't tell. Is this Andrew? Pittman needs to find a way to be the number 30 slot in this year's WWE Royal Rumble. If he was able to win a guaranteed shot at WrestleMania, we may secure at least $500 of NIL for the team. Where do y'all come up with these like thought processes and these things that you say?
I mean,
It's like, is that a discussion that just came up with your buddies, like passing, like, you know, honestly, what Sam Pittman should do? The WWE. Like, how does that
pointing
happen?
at the sign that has like WrestleMania 40 what or whatever.
Yeah, so crazy. They want to do just a few basketball games of note for the SEC too. LSU and Pitt tonight, battle of unbeatens in the Greenbrier tip-off. I don't think that's being played in Greenbrier, Arkansas, but got that game tonight in West Virginia. White Sulphur Springs. Like, what is this? Where are these tournaments that continue to happen?
I just don't know.
It's on CBS Sports Network, actually at 1:30 here in about 10 minutes.
A little pre-feast week tournament.
Guess so. You have that. You have Seton Hall and Vanderbilt at TD Arena in Charleston for the Shriners. Yeah, Shriners Children's Charleston Classic. So Kentucky and Jackson State tonight. I'm sure Kentucky fans and part of the Big Blue Nation Invitational because that's a thing. That game will be tonight. Southern Illinois and Florida, Pacific and Missouri. A little familiarity there.
Will Missouri beat Pacific by more than Arkansas did?
I'm sure we'll hear about it if they don't. You got at Mississippi State and SMU.
That's
Texas. Yeah. Yeah, that's being played in Dallas at Moody Coliseum, so it's a home game for SMU. Texas and St. Joe's up there in the Barclays at the UKG Legends Classic. And actually a truly, really good game. Baylor, Tennessee tonight.
Yeah,
really good game.
Get them.
Baylor coming off of a game winner.
Dude, that was awesome.
It's like a 4-hour basketball game.
Curtis was watching that game. We were about to leave Leroy, and Curtis was watching that game on the phone, and he was like, "Oh, let's just watch this final play, see if Baylor draws something up." And then he was like, "Oh wait, they don't even have the ball. Oh, and now there's a timeout. You know, we just kind of chalked it up to they'll lose, and then we just missed the most chaotic ending."
Yeah. Oh, that was crazy. I love college basketball for stuff like that. It's great. So yeah, a few games of note there in the college basketball landscape. I can't wait. There was another game. Georgia and Marquette is tomorrow for anybody that's curious about that.
Is Marquette good this year?
I would 15th. They beat the hell out of Purdue the other day.
Shaka.
Man. Yeah. Because where was Shaka? What was it? Was it VCU he was at?
And then
before Texas? Yeah. And
he was another one where, like, when he got hired at Texas, everybody was like unanimously like, oh, he's about to run college basketball. And then it took him a while, but I think he landed at the right spot.
Yeah, sometimes it's just about the fit for the coaches. And Texas is just not a basketball program that, I mean, I don't really know what Texas basketball is.
They produce really good centers every now and then.
Yeah, they do that. I was going to bring up
Mark in the chat. I just need you just take some deep breaths, bud. It's going to be all right. Mark. It's going to be okay.
What's this effing loyalty to Pittman? Petrino's proven winner. Give him the effing job. We're going to do another season when Pittman win with 4 wins, really?
Well, he's got 5 right now.
Mark, are you okay?
Dude, I think we might. I mean, like, I've actually been feeling bad about how anti-Pittman we've been on public airwaves for a long time now.
Yeah.
Where are we getting the idea that we're loyal to Pittman?
I think it's just one of those generic, like, you know, why is no one talking about this type of things where it's like, no, everyone we are, but you probably heard it from your neighbors or maybe you're listening to the propaganda network this morning on the radio or something.
You lost me with the give Petrino the job, though.
Yeah, that ain't happening, and nor should it. It shouldn't happen.
I can get behind some anti-Pittman rhetoric, but I can't get behind by Petrino head coach in the year of our Lord 2025 rhetoric.
Can't do that. I do like this. I want to bring this up from Mike T. Dub. He says, "Hey, John, it's time for your Uncle Mike to go. How do you lose by 50 and then get punished by Oral Roberts? The 4 of us and Bob could do better than that." No relation, Mike. My name is spelled stupidly, as his is actually spelled the correct way. But yeah, no relation there.
Easier to spell though. I always kind of hesitate sometimes when.
Honestly, I always felt like the way my name is spelled is the way that it should have been spelled because it makes sense. As in, nay is N-A-B. That's the way it should be, but that's just me. But either way,
there's the receiver Malik Neighbors, and he's Nabers.
I know, just
how about that?
All over the place. No one knows how to spell the name Neighbors, apparently. But no, it is getting pretty rough out there for Coach Mike Neighbors. And what was it, Oral Roberts? I think saw that it was the worst home loss to a non-conference team in 25 years, something like that. Yeah, that ain't good. So pretty rough. A few other little random headlines and stuff that's going on. Like, did Travis Kelce getting a late night show on ESPN has become a thing? I've been seeing it all over the place. Like, is my the only one that just doesn't care about the Kelce brothers? Does that make me a hater?
I don't care about either one of them.
I don't think you're the only one, but I think there are enough people out there that do to where, like, I don't know, enough like Southern moms that think Jason Kelce is their spirit animal, type
Southern
of thing.
Moms. I don't know. It's like there's so many shows like on Bravo and stuff that's just for some reason people get paid, and
There's
I don't know
a guy
why.
out there wearing Vineyard Vines that has a daughter named Kinsley, and he's like, dude, these guys are so effing funny. I gotta watch this show.
Which show are you referring to?
The Kelce brothers. Dude, I'm telling you, the white folks love the Kelce brothers.
Apparently so. I think a lot of it's been upped a little bit because of the Taylor Swift stuff.
Well,
So,
yeah.
I mean, that always, it's a nice little bump to get if you got Taylor Swift involved. Also, the Giants cut Daniel Jones, so he sucked, unfortunately for them. It's pretty rough.
Daniel Jones was a 0-star recruit in high school who was a walk-on who somehow got the starting job at Duke and wasn't very good at Duke either. He's like a 58% passer, 6 yards an attempt. And then he gets drafted 10th overall. He wasn't very good for the Giants either. But somehow accumulated $250 million playing quarterback in the NFL, despite never being good at any level of football.
It's really impressive how they were able to do that and how he was able to pull that off too. So, yeah.
And they benched him for a guy, Tommy DeVito, who also has never been good at football at any level of life. He was not good at Syracuse. It wasn't good for the Giants last year, but it just, that's how it works.
Was he the DeVito guy? Was he the one that played for Dallas for a second? Or no, that was
DiNucci. Ben DiNucci. Different Italian quarterback.
Yeah, that was fun to see. Hickory Hawk says John ready to call plays tomorrow. I look like a coach.
You do look a little bit like a play caller.
He's got the Connor Stallions vibes.
I mean, if they want to pay me for it, I'll gladly be Connor Stallions.
At first, I couldn't see the pigs on there, and I thought you were just like an undercover cop wearing like just a solid hat.
That'd be weird if I just was wearing a black hat with nothing, like no graphic or anything, just black. It's actually the hat that I wear when I go to the gym, so that's why it's on. But Floyd brought this up. I meant to bring this up earlier. He says, so Pittman comes back and gets 7 to 8 wins next year. Do they give him extension or does he retire? I don't know. I really don't care.
I don't know, man. I mean,
maybe. It depends on what the current landscape of college football is. I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah. I mean, I would assume he would just keep his job if he wants it.
Yeah, I would assume. Harold says if John was coming down the sidewalk, I'd move my kids across the street.
Damn.
I'm sorry. So I put on a hat and I become like a hoodlum. I become like public, like just somebody who wants to like have a wanted poster around me just because I put on a hat.
Man.
Hugging the kids extra tight.
I didn't know I was that intimidating and that's scary from putting on a hat.
Oh, goodness.
I do love the fact that people in our chats and who watch us and everything, that they're so consistent with it that if we have any slight change to any of our physical appearance in any regard, they're going to mention it.
I know. Yeah.
We got a haircut, got shaved something differently, got a hat on, whatever it is. People are going to let us know about it each and every time.
Can y'all talk me out of something real quick?
Sure.
I really want to cut all my hair. I don't want to have this hair anymore.
Why?
I just hate it.
What do you want to?
Much of it there is.
Well, what do you want to do with it? Like, what is it? You just want to go back to what it was before, or?
Yeah, just clean cut, comb over Ellis.
Andrew, whatever makes you happy makes me happy, buddy. Your body, your choice. Okay, you do what you got to do.
I don't know. We'll see.
Like, how short? Like, will you go to like a barber to do it, or will you do it yourself?
Yeah, I'd probably get someone. I'd pay someone $20 to cut my hair. Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
You could do the what do they call it when you like donate your hair?
Oh yeah, I could probably save
Box
some
glove or whatever.
Yeah.
I could make them feel better about themselves while they're battling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there could be an Andrew Ellis wig out there for somebody in need.
Mm-hmm. Could be. It would take a lot to get used to, though. Andrew, I will admit, like a lot to get used to. You going back to short hair. It's been a minute.
The only thing is, there's no going back.
It's true.
You know,
Yeah.
like I don't know.
Box is open.
You might have to really think about if you want to go 0 to 100 with it, or
Yeah, like cut it to about right here first.
Yeah,
maybe.
like get a trim and see how you feel about that, and then take it from there. Maybe just an inch or two daily, and then we can just do reviews on the show. And I don't know, man.
Do it in a man bun.
I'll take it into account.
Yeah, do it in a man bun. I'm sure people would appreciate that. Oh. Also, it was early in the chat, I didn't star it, but just to let everybody know. No, RRJ Hawk Tua did not respond to the invite to try to do a debate discussion with him and Carlton from Saracen. So not surprising, but probably not going to happen. But
he messed up by replying to like the first 12 people that tweeted at him and set the precedent. And so then everyone started tweeting at him and was like, hey, respond to me. And he's like, all right. I'll respond to everybody.
Yeah, it's almost like he's really stupid or something. I don't know. But I'm glad the people that got my Simple Jack reference yesterday. I appreciate all of you that did that too, because that was something I was proud of. But anyways, we'll see if it ever happens. Probably not, but we'll be sure to keep you informed and updated on it if it does. Any final thoughts, guys, before we roll out of here, get out of here, and have a big, busy weekend of Razorback Athletics?
See y'all about 10 o'clock tonight. At the Palace post game.
Get you some coffee today because stay up late. Don't go to sleep early on this beautiful Friday night. Hang out with Curtis and I through the night.
Yeah.
From 10 to 10 p.m. to 10 a.m. We're getting you primed for the football game.
We might just stay live until the football game's over.
It'll transition into a pregame show and then a postgame show. It'll be great.
Knock yourselves out. Do whatever. If that's what y'all want to do, have at it. And do a marathon. But it's going to be great, folks. So because of that fact, be sure to subscribe to Inside Arkansas, because that way you'll be on top of it and you'll get that notification. Hit that little bell at the top so you'll be notified whenever we do go live. But for football, basketball, everything, it's always going to be happening right here in Inside Arkansas. So be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Check us out on social media at Inside Arkansas, and be sure to go to our website for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information on Razorback sports. It's InsideArkansas.com. So for Andrew Ellis as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel. Next Monday, have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you tonight for Pod at the Palace post-game show following Arkansas and Little Rock.